Hey everyone, if you are looking for practices to just help you get through the day a little bit smoother, you're in the right place.
Coffee on the counter, calendar in view. Got a room full of futures and a plan that's tried and true. I've done the late nights, I felt the burnout. Now I choose what feeds me and still brings the best out. Sustainable teaching, I can lead and still be breathing. Strong and steady, I'm increasing. Sustainable teaching, that's in the rhythm of my freedom. This is how I start my day believing.
Hey everyone, my name is Ray Hewert. Welcome to the Sustainable Teaching Podcast. I am having a little bit of a moment and I'm going to try and get through it because I have Bella here with me. And Bella, I feel like I've known my whole life. I'm so excited to have her on the show and also to have some of you either get reintroduced to her or introduced to her for the first time. Bella, how you feeling?
So excited. This is something so different out of my comfort zone, and I'm really excited to talk and chat.
I'm so excited that you said yes, even if it's like out of your comfort zone, because it's totally not. You're going to be amazing. I have no doubt. For everyone listening, if they aren't familiar with you, do you mind sharing a little about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I am Bella. I teach 5th and 6th grade PE in the Joliet Plainfield area. So this is my 4th year teaching. Yeah, crazy. 4 years. I feel like I'm still learning. I'm still kind of like rookie season, but I'm getting past it. I'm learning as I go. And yeah, so.
I feel like everybody can say like the first year definitely feels different, but then there's like a growth that you also need to have between like getting your footing 4 or 5. Have you been in the same building the last 4 to 5 years?
Yes. Okay. Same building, same coworkers, same position, same everything.
Interesting. So the reason 4 years to me feels like forever, and some of you listening are in the comments like 4 years, that's nothing. Right. Mm-hmm. I know that. But 4 years, Bella, we worked together when you were in college.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's crazy to me that it's been 4 years since you've been teaching, because that means that we worked together what feels like a long time ago. Like, holy moly.
Right. Seriously. I know, it's crazy thinking back. Like that was when I was in college, like really learning about like teaching in general, so it's crazy that we're like connecting again. Like now I'm in teaching and like, so.
Because this is what happens. Like any student teacher I had or any like educator I worked with and they were in college, I feel like all I do is I'm like following their social media. I want to get updated, and all of them are off doing amazing things, getting married or, starting their lives, doing these amazing things with students. And I'm like the creepy one in the back being like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I still think you're really cool.
I loved what we were doing together, I'm like, I feel like that was also another thing that like made me get out of my comfort zone, it didn't have anything to do with teaching, but it was something really fun and like cool that I got to say I got to do that.
Yeah, we have to go back. So you were not my student teacher. That was not how we were connected. How would you tell the story of how we started working together? It honestly, it feels like an entire lifetime ago.
Yeah, seriously, I agree. I would say that it was like you were kind of like in charge of marketing, and you were like, I need some young brains of like, who can I bounce ideas off of? Who can I kind of like share ideas, and who's going to help me make this into like what I want it to be? And I feel like me and Emily, I don't know if you remember her too, we were working together trying to kind of just help you create all of your ideas and everything going on in your head, make it all real, So
yeah, that was crazy. That was when I was in my previous role at Teach Better, and we had these internships we did. But you were also in the sorority.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's like another connection is we needed interns for Teach Better at the time. So we would go to Phi-Sig at ISU and be like, hey, is there anyone interested? And I have so many Phi-Sigs that I'm connected to now because they either did like an internship with Teach Better, or they like were a dog walker for me when I lived locally, or like just a crazy connection. So like, yes, we connected while you were in college. You did some marketing work. We were in the same sorority, obviously years apart because I'm much older than you. And then you were going into teaching, but you were working in marketing for us. So you had this like education vantage point, obviously, but then you like had to leave us because you were going into the real world. You were student teaching, you were going to go get a job. Like that was a huge deal.
Yeah, definitely. And it was really crazy because I was also like prime COVID. So I started working with you guys when COVID hit. And I remember my parents were like, how is this going to work? What's going to happen? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to follow Ray's lead, and whatever she tells me, I'm going to follow.
Guys, I if you have followed me or Bella throughout our time, for many a time, for a long time, probably still would swear that like I couldn't do anything without Bella's approval. I was like, I need to talk to you about this. Can you figure this out for me? Like you were truly like my go-to person for everything. So it's nuts now that not only that we haven't caught up, but also that you've done this entire new chapter of your world in education, being a teacher to students. And, you know, while I'm sure marketing didn't really carry over, you also probably had a lot of connections as far as like seeing what was going on in the education space, especially during COVID, and then working in this now is nuts.
Right, definitely. I know, it's so crazy. It's weird, like also bringing up that I've done like all that marketing stuff too, like to some people, because they're like, wait, for why? And I'm like, just Ray asked and I said yes.
Yes, I couldn't really explain it either. I don't know how we got lucky enough, but
it really is crazy.
Yes, crazy now, especially thinking about it, that's crazy. So, all right. So as I'm walking down memory lane, you graduated and you were like, I'm going to go be this fabulous teacher. We wish you well. And of course, like wrote letters of rec, like we were so excited for you. And then you started this whole new chapter. And obviously you not only got a job, but have been successful there for many years. How has it been now moving to a different location, working in a school, kind of like going through the first year struggles, but then also now being in your, what did you say, your fourth year? It's crazy.
Yeah, fourth year. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely moving from, I think, college into like adulthood, really. It's like, wow, this is like real life, you know? And then especially teaching on top of that too. Like, you know, I'm walking in 22 years old, teaching 12-year-olds, you know, and I'm like, I'm having imposter syndrome. Like, who put all these kids in front of me, you know? But now moving into my fourth year, I'm like finally feeling the confidence of like, I can do this on my own. I'm finally understanding concepts that I'm, you know, of how to teach really.
Right.
So it's just really exciting. And I'm really feeling myself like being confident in what I'm doing every day. So it's but much better feeling than it was my first year.
Well, sure. And then you're not only like trying to do what you've learned in school, which, you know, take that with a grain of salt. And then you are learning from your mentors, which I'm confident you had many, and, you know, other veteran teachers that were working in the building. How many PE teachers are there in the building that you're in?
So there's 6 of us total. There's 3 male PE teachers and 3 females. So I work really closely with my mentor. She obviously was really a huge factor in teaching me like, hey, here's kind of what I would do in this situation. You know, she's like, you do with it what you want, but here's what I would do and what I would suggest. So on top of my cooperating teachers, like that first year, I felt like I was consistently learning new things. So yeah. And then it's pretty overwhelming walking in with 5 other teachers that have been there for a while and teaching together, but they have, especially now, like we are one tight-knit family. So yeah.
That's such an important part that I feel like we're only able to touch on every so often, but it comes up on the podcast. I feel like every 5 or 6 episodes, somebody talks about like the importance of education community, the importance of like kind of this like epidemic and like educator loneliness that exists, and like needing to find your people. And it's so important to have a colleague down a hall or a colleague on your team or somebody that you can just like goof around with when you need it, right? Eat chocolate with when you need it,
Mhm.
mid-period, but then also like ask questions and brainstorm and do all that together. It sounds like you're also in a building that probably keeps their teaching staff pretty well. Like there's not too much mobility, at least in your department.
Yes, definitely, at least in my department too. I would say even outside of like the PE department, like we try to get little groups together. Let's hang out after school or different things like that. And I feel like that alone is really helpful in just getting through the week, you know? Like having something to look forward to and step away from the school atmosphere and make it more like, hey, we're all friends here, you know?
Yeah, the camaraderie. I have
Yeah.
to say also a huge shout out to making it to almost the end of your 4th year. You're at the point now where statistically a lot of educators are either looking for something else, have already changed roles, or found a way to make it sustainable. So I'm really eager to hear what small things, even like teeny tiny things that you're like, I do this every day. I couldn't even tell you why, but it does relieve stress, or it does just make my life easier, or I've learned to not sweat the small stuff because I know that really built up early on. We're going to get into all that. Stick with us. This episode is brought to you by the Teachers Deserve It Blueprint, a done-for-you system for building a classroom that works without burnout. If you're tired of piecing it together on your own, this is your framework. See what's inside at teachersdeserveit.com. Friends, Bella is here on the pod, and while we could reminisce and catch up the whole time, I think it's also amazing to be able to highlight Bella not only as the incredible educator she is, but also as an educator that's exiting her 4th year, entering into her 5th next year, and constantly looking at how to make this role sustainable. I also love interviewing an educator that isn't in like core math or science. I mean, obviously I'm a former math teacher. It's so great to have all the different diverse voices in education. So talking to fabulous PE teachers are kind of my favorite. What comes to mind, Bella, when you think about like how your job is sustainable day to day? Like one of the things you mentioned was obviously having a community and getting together. That's great. Like that time away from school stressors. But what else has also made a bit of a difference?
I think hearing you mention before we went on to the break how you said like don't sweat the small stuff. I think that was probably my biggest struggle my first year was like it would be 7 p.m. at night and I'm thinking like, did I say the right thing to that student? Did I send that email? Did I complete those grades? And I think kind of within like the past couple of years, I've really learned like there's only so many hours that we're at our jobs and being able to, hey, it's 4 o'clock. Like whatever I got done is whatever I got done. And I need to just move on with my life, you know, and making sure that I'm really taking the time of, hey, what do I need to do for myself right now? Not for school, not for work, not for any students or anything like that. I think that is a huge lesson for first year teachers, continuing teachers, veteran teachers, core teachers, PE teachers, any type of teacher. I think it's really important to kind of understand like this is all I can do for today. There's always tomorrow. And I think that's huge.
Yeah, you know, we've had a few different conversations, but it's really important to touch on this again, that like education's so hard because it matters every day. And it's not just strategic as far as the standards and metrics we're trying to reach, but it also is important because working with human beings, and it's with our heart that we go into this field. And so whether you're stressing about like a conversation you had with a student or a conversation with colleagues or how you taught a lesson, there's so much to dwell on. Like you could dwell on something for eternity because every minute of the day involves other people. It involves a decision. It involves something that, let's be honest, probably could have been done better, but did it need to be better? Or did it have to have that like aggressive metric we were keeping? So even as I'm thinking about being a PE teacher, I mean, the stressor of, did I do enough today? And like, how can I do this better is something every educator can, you know, sympathize with. And it is hard to turn that off when you're like exiting the school environment, entering your home environment.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think that especially like going from like just graduating from ISU to my first job right away, I think that like as Like in college, you're kind of sitting there like you have high expectations for yourself. You're just completed your degree and you're like, okay, I know I can conquer this, but then you kind of step into that first job and you're like, wait a minute, this is a lot harder. This is a lot more pressure than I was kind of expecting. And so I think it's really important to create that boundary for yourself, because if not, it's just going to consume you and you're going to be sitting there all night thinking of how you can do a million things better the next day. So yeah.
That is true. Like when you're in college, you're constantly thinking about like, how can I make this project the strongest ever? How can I write this lesson plan to be the best lesson plan ever? And in a school system, you still want that. You're aspiring to that, but an okay day at maybe 70% is actually still great. And kind of like finding that balance can be tricky. I know so many educators struggle with that solution. Is there any steps that you took outside of just like wanting this to be your approach? Is there any steps you took to like help you kind of like let that stuff go or process through it differently so you didn't stay up, thinking about it late at night? Anything that helped?
I think definitely that community, going back to that, like sometimes I would go back to the two ladies I work closest with and I would tell them like, can I just rant about this? Like, I got to get it off my chest. Like, there's nothing I can do about it. And there's nothing I can do to fix it right now, but I just need to get it off my chest, because if not, I'm going to go home and it's going to consume me. And, we are always, especially the three of us, like we are always talking, hey, don't stress about it. Don't worry about it. Here's maybe something you can do tomorrow to maybe help with that conversation with that student, or there's always tomorrow to do your grades, things like that. So I think going back to my community is kind of huge. So, yeah.
Well, and that's big. They can offer, like you said, solutions, encouragement. Yeah. I feel like if I'm dwelling on something, I think of a statement my mentor teacher told me I don't know if it was my first year or when I was student teaching, because I taught with her years after actually. And she was like, every day can be a redo day. Like, yes, of course, you don't want to harm students. Yes, of course, you care about your job and you need to give it your all. But also, if you did something wrong, you'll fix it tomorrow. Like, it's not the end of the world. You can kind of make that little flub a little bit easier as you go.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes, I feel like, especially like we don't want to mess up in front of like the students sometimes.
Right.
And I think every once in a while, it's totally okay to tell our students like, hey, I was having a really off day yesterday. Let's just rewind and let's like go back over this and then we can move on. It's kind of probably important to show that to the kids. Like, hey, you're not going to have an on day every day, because they definitely don't. So why do we?
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that you do at home that kind of sets your day apart from like school mode versus at home mode? Is that anything that you found a balance in?
Definitely getting my time at the gym in is very important. Yeah. Like when I sign up to do a lot of volleyball and basketball games with the school and helping out with that. But if I'm not at the school helping out with that, if I can find time to get some movement in, put my headphones in and really just disconnect from everything. Cause I get home from school and I'm like, oh, I have to go grocery shopping. I have to do this. I have to stop at Target. The to-do list is endless, but taking that time to myself and getting to the gym, even if it's just walking on the treadmill for 10 minutes, at least I took those 10 minutes for me and to just separate, and then I can get back to whatever I need to do afterwards.
I feel like this has been so interesting thinking about like the true transition into adulthood, and whether you're listening right now and you have been teaching for less than 5 years, or you're listening right now and you've been teaching for 20 and you could have kids in high school and you're listening and like, oh my gosh, that was so long ago for so many of us. But gosh, transitioning into being an adult, I feel like I'm still working on it. And I don't know if there's ever a time when you leave college and you're like, okay, an adult transition's happening, and then you ace it. If anyone's listening right now and you've just completely aced the adulting and all that would be awesome. I need a few lessons. Stick with us, Bella. We're going to dive into some questions that were submitted by our community, some of which are PE related, but some are not. And we're just going to see if we can support them in any way possible. We'll be right back. Before we wrap up, if you're not subscribed to the Sustainable Teaching Substack, you're missing out. Every Friday, you'll get an episode plus a free download resource. Subscribe for free over at our Substack. And if you have any questions you want answered in a future episode, drop them over at teachersdeserveit.com by direct messaging the team or emailing Olivia at teachersdeserveit.com. All right, I'm like laughing to myself because in that last commercial, it was like, oh, email Olivia. And I'm like, oh, Olivia is my Bella, right?
Yep.
And after Bella, it was Rachel. Like I always have, that's the thing. I have so many people who will like reach out or do something with me and they're like, Ray, you're always so busy. And I'm like, I'm never doing it. It's somebody else that's making me look good. Guys, if you saw me anytime between COVID and when Bella graduated, it wasn't me doing it. Bella did something and I just was taking the credit. That's all.
It was like that imposter syndrome again. I'm sitting there and I'm like, should I be doing this? This is a lot of responsibility, Ray.
It's my entire life. I'm like, I don't think I should be doing this. And then someone else is like, just keep going one more day. I'm like, all right, until tomorrow. And then I don't think so anymore.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. All right. There's some good questions here. Olivia grabbed 3 for us. And shout out to Olivia, keeping my life straight. One of them is so perfect. I don't know if she knew your role, but I'm going to read this one first. It says, I'm a K-5 PE teacher and I see over 500 kids a week. 500. I don't have a classroom. I have a gym with no AC that hits 95 degrees by May. I'm expected to know every kid's name, handle behaviors, and be flexible when my space gets taken over for testing, assemblies, or picture day with 0 notice. Meantime, it says, meanwhile, halfway the staff treats me like a glorified babysitter so they can get their plan period. Last week, a teacher said, must be nice to play games all day. And I almost lost it. I'm exhausted. My knees are shot and I'm starting to resent my job. How do I stay sustainable when no one ever considers you a real teacher?
Oh my God, this is heartbreaking.
Any part of this? I was reading, but I feel like I could see you like nodding your head throughout me reading this.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with the like last minute, oh, hey, we need the gym. Hey, this space is being taken up. Hey, there's people coming up and they're going to be fixing the bleachers. So yes, you can do your activity, but you got to watch out because there's people working. There are a million things that are always getting in our way. And I feel like that's what like I will pat PE teachers on the back the most for is that we are so flexible. And so I guess if you can kind of hold on to that of like, just be flexible, consider yourself lucky to see the students in such a different atmosphere. I feel like that kind of motivation gets us through another day, especially when things are different or things are getting in the way. So I feel it. I feel the comments sometimes, but you know, considering that we are as flexible as we are is huge.
Yeah, I wonder if this is one of those things because while I was giggling at the comments and I'm so empathizing with the teacher that submitted this. So thank you for submitting your questions. You can submit your questions anywhere on our website or just direct message somebody on the team. We'll make it to the show. Something I really heard was like 2 things. And they both are kind of related to kind of needing validation from others. Like it felt like there was like comments from other teachers or comments from, you know, not feeling respected maybe because your space is being taken over. And there has to be some sort of like mindset shift of like, first of all, you don't need the science teacher's approval. Like you're great. But then also on the same vein, while I would understand that, I almost would need like a one-liner in my pocket that could be like, if somebody ticks me off or says something, this is what I'm going to reply with. And I don't have one of those right now, but it needs to be something like if someone was like, oh, it's so fun to play games all day, I'd be like, I'm just so glad that your students get to really get all their energy out that they're building up while sitting in their seats, right? It's not like a mean comment, but it's like, I have a purpose. Like, let me really enforce what that is, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, especially when we get those comments of like, oh, have fun in gym, go run around in the gym, get their energy out, you know, it is also funny to see, like I sign up to internal sub in my school all the time. And so on the other hand, sometimes I'm making these comments at the teachers where I'm like, I give you props because these kids in the seats, I'm like, I cannot do this. I'm like, thank God they get to run around in the gym and like, I don't have to deal with them and telling them sitting down every 2 seconds, you know? So I think also kind of validating their feelings of like, yeah, you can't see yourself doing what I do, but I can't see myself doing what you do either. So,
right. Or maybe there's even like, not or, really, and there's another
Mhm.
element of like opportunity to collaborate. Like there's been a lot of amazing PE teachers I've worked with, like unbelievable. I could sing their praises for one of them would like push into some of our classrooms and teach us how to incorporate movement better into like classes that really struggled. Like mine, I was a math teacher. I'm like, how do I incorporate movement more?
Mhm.
And so I wonder if it's also an opportunity, even if you mean it a little sarcastic, to be like, hey, I'd be happy to show you how you can turn one of these games into a core concept activity.
Yeah.
Like, let me know. You know, it's like you just need a few things in the back pocket so you don't have to think about your response. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that sitting there thinking of, oh, what can I say back to, this teacher? It's like, I also have a lot of different ideas of what you might be able to do in your classroom that might be able to help your kids get up and out of their seats,
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. And
Yeah.
again, it's not that we're like encouraging anyone to be snarky to their colleagues, but like first of all, we don't need their approval. Second of all, there is an opportunity here that you can also reinstill your value and your ideas. So
Yeah,
that's good.
definitely.
All right, I have another one here, and it's really weird because again, you'll see. Okay, it says
Okay.
I left a corporate marketing job 2 years ago to become a teacher because I wanted to make a difference. Now I'm 38 years old, first year teacher, surrounded by 23-year-olds who seem to know way more than me. I have an MBA, but can't figure out can't figure out classroom management. My students smell weakness on me. My mentor teacher is younger than me, and I feel stupid asking her basic questions. Everyone said career changers bring so much to the classroom, but honestly, I just feel old. When does it click? So the reason I was making a joke is because she was in marketing and then moved to teaching. When I'm like, Bella,
That's so crazy.
totally
That's so
crazy.
crazy.
So I totally empathize with like kind of feeling out of the loop, and whether it's because you're old or become you're quote unquote or from a different place, like feeling out of place is no fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that moving into my position where I was now, my coworkers had all been working together for at least 10 years at this point. So I definitely do relate to that, like, ooh, I'm kind of an outsider right now. Let me figure out my place. Give it time. That's my biggest piece of advice is that it might not click right away and it might not stick. And it might take a lot of trial and error too. There are definitely some systems that I try to use now that I'm still like, oh, this could be better. How can I change this? And there's always opportunity for that tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. So give it some time.
Yeah, I like that. And
Yeah.
also, I think I'm kind of maybe a more blunt person, but like if something's weird, I like to name it. I feel like it just sometimes like eases the tension. You're like, hey, I know it's weird that like you're my mentor teacher and I'm older than you, but and like that doesn't always help, but that could be an option where like any awkwardness you're feeling could just be one conversation from never being a thought again.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that also on that kind of that same note of like my mentor is a little bit older than me. My mentor and I and even the other girl that we work with too, we constantly like we know each other's strengths and weaknesses. So at times like we will just bounce off of each other because we do co-teach also. So since we co-teach, sometimes I will just turn to her and be like, hey, is there any way you could help me out with this student? Like you just have that better relationship with them. You understand how, like kind of how to get to what I'm trying to say, like better with that student. And then there's other things where it's like, hey, I need help with my computer, Bella. Can you help me? Like, or can you help me with this application? It seems like you know the ins and outs of it better. So there's going to be definitely strengths and weaknesses. And I think kind of going back to what I said, like, give it some time.
Give it some time, find your people. And if you can't figure it out, ask Bella to fix it because that's what all of us do anyway. Well, I am so excited for all of you to connect with Bella, whether it's to fix something, think through something, or just connect with her as the amazing educator she is. We'll be right back to share how you can stay connected. Sustainable Teaching is brought to you by Teachers Deserve It, the professional development company built on one belief. Teaching shouldn't cost you your weekends, your health, or your love for this work. Learn more at teachersdeserveit.com. Bella, it was such a treat having you on. I'm so glad that you are this all-star. You've always been an all-star, but it's really good to reconnect with you. And I have so many other ideas on how I'm going to trick you into collaborating more with the Teachers Deserve It community, because as many of you know, our Learning Hub is a space where we love all educators, and we need other educators that are outside some of those typical or core subjects. We have some great art teacher creators, some great music teacher creators. We need more PE creators. So sharing that out into the world as opportunities. If you're listening, we'd love to have you sharing. Bella, how can our community stay connected to you? Is there a social media or an email that you typically like to share for people to connect with you if they have questions?
LinkedIn for sure. Definitely. I think that I'm connected with a lot of educators from Teach Better. And then I think even Teachers Deserve It. So if you find me on there, it should be under Bella Dailey. So yeah.
Friends, if you have any issues connecting with Bella, let me know, because I really enjoy hunting her down. So I would love to make that connection. Bella, this may have been out of your comfort zone, but you rocked it, girl. This could be your new full-time job. Who knows?
Who knows? Marketing, teaching, what's next?
Podcasting professional.
Yeah.
All right, friends. Yeah, it'd be so good. Thanks so much for connecting, and we will see you on the next episode of Sustainable Teaching.
Sustainable teaching.